constant news about tariffs. It doesn't stop, right? Every day, every hour, there's something new, some new angle, some new thing. So, we had this exemption from electronics on Friday evening that Trump put in, primarily from China, because China has we have 145% tariffs on Chinese goods. And Apple and NVIDIA and all these were panicking. And somebody made a phone call, and Trump excluded electronics from the tariffs. Well, in the meantime, during the weekend, Lutnick, this guy should be tarred and feathered, right? Tarred and feathered. This guy should be out. This is God. He's the worst of all the Trump appointees so far. Anyway, Lutnick goes on TV and says, "Oh no, these exemptions are just temporary. Just temporary. They won't last. Trump will reverse them." Talk about creating uncertainty. Ongoing, constant, no stop uncertainty. Then Trump comes out and says, look, the new tariffs coming. We're going to have tariffs on computer chips. We're going to have tariffs on drugs. And all of that on national security grounds. But I might spare the auto industry. Constant shifting, moving around, nothing staying still, constant changing the rules, uncertainty through the roof. I'll give you a favor, take it away later. Maybe I'll give them a favor. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe here, maybe. Yeah. So we're going to have, soon, we're going to have tariffs on computer chips, pharmaceuticals. And we'll probably have some relaxation of levies of tariffs on cars and auto parts. So why do we do it to begin with, if now we're going to relax them? All right, so beyond just being immoral doofus, corrupt to the bone, the guy's incompetent, can't make up his mind, is creating massive uncertainty in the U.S. economy. So this morning, the expectation was that stocks would be way up. And indeed, at some point early in the morning, I guess the NASDAQ was up something like 2%. But as it kind of sunk in that, no, these new tariffs are coming, it's not a done deal. It's temporary. Stocks declined. They landed still up. And indeed, everything kind of moderated. The dollar kind of basically was flat today, but interest rates were down. So after the trend of interest rates going up, interest rates were down, and I think that's a big calming effect. But this is not ending anytime soon. The circus around trade is not ending around soon, and you're probably hearing. If not, you're not following what's going on, which is fine because you said you should only listen to the Yaron Book Show for news. A lot of small businesses are going to really, really be struggling and maybe go out of business here because they depend on imports from China. A lot of businesses just don't know what to do because they don't know what's next. They don't know how long they can plan. They can't. I talked about this. The pain felt, I'd say primarily by small to medium-sized businesses who can't lobby, they can't call up the White House, and they can't hedge their bets. They can't revamp their supply chains on a dime. They're going to struggle. There are going to be real challenges here for a lot of companies. And remember, a lot of manufacturing that's done in the United States uses components or raw materials that are imported. So even manufacturing, which is supposed to grow because of the tariffs, potentially in the short run will shrink because they can't bring stuff in. So it's a complete destruction. I mean, think about the fact that, the tariffs that were excluded are electronics. Apple and Nvidia and Microsoft, they're in better shape because the exclusion, temporary as it may be. But if you're a mom and pop shop selling toys, if your mom and pop shops or not a mid-sized business selling furniture, a lot of the furniture in the United States is made in China. How are you going to survive this? Even if it's only temporary. Even if Trump folds, what about the damage? The massive damage. I mean, a lot of these companies, their margins are very small. How do they survive the next few days, the next few weeks, the next few months? And while he might fold on a lot of things, it's not obvious he will. It's not obvious he will. I really think he hates trade. He hates trade deficits. And he is willing to inflict a lot of pain in order to try at least to fix it. I don't know that any deals are going to be cut because the deals will not cut the trade deficit. Now, maybe he'll fold because there's a lot of pressure, but I'm not convinced. Again, today he was talking about more tariffs on pharmaceuticals and computer chips. And then for some reason, reducing them on auto parts and automobiles. He hates trade. He believes trade is zero sum. That is hating trade. He hates trade. He doesn't believe trade is win-win. And then, so he is destructive. Destructive, and he's destroying people's lives. Now, again, small businesses, medium-sized businesses, so be it, you might say. The big guys will survive. The big guys will survive. Let's see. Yeah, that's clear. Now, on top of all this, in the meantime, he is handing China a massive strategic victory. I mean, you couldn't have scripted this if you were pro-China any better than it is. Trump is a huge fan of Putin's. And you couldn't script his behavior towards Zelensky any more pro-Putin. It's completely motivated by his pro-Putin stance. Now, what you get is you couldn't have scripted his behavior towards China as more, in the end, strategically more pro-China. Because what is China doing right now? China now is basically going around Asia and saying, see, you can't trust the Americans. You can't trust Trump. And who the hell wants to pay even 10% tariff? We'll offer you a deal. We'll sign a free trade deal with you. You will see that China will be signing a whole bunch of deals on trade with other Asian countries, potentially other countries around the world, even maybe the EU. Trade that lowers barriers in both directions. China has a lot of bad economic policies. China's ignorant of a lot of things when it comes to economics. But they understand that they benefit from trade, and so does everybody else. There's very few people out there in the world who have the kind of infantile, perceptual level view of trade that Trump has. I can't resist. Every day, the Trump zombie core out there, the Trump zombie PR machine produces new excuses why tariffs are good. Every day. You see it on X, you see it, and then you see all the Trump zombies saying the same thing. It'll replace the income tax. It'll bring manufacturing back. And then Edward now, trade deficit, decrease the value of the US dollar. We want a strong dollar. But Trump wants a weak dollar because a weak dollar makes it possible to export more. So they come up with stuff. They don't even understand what they're talking about. They don't understand the concepts they're relating to. But that's what the PR machine of the tribe has dictated is today's excuse for why tariffs are good. Anyway, so we have a trade. We have continuing uncertainty. We have Xi going around Asia now, strengthening ties, trying to cut deals. I think he's in Vietnam today, trying to cut deals. Vietnam, which should be a strategic ally of the United States, and trying to control China. Vietnam, who is afraid of China, who has a border with China, has fought wars with China. Vietnam is going to move more in the direction of China because they're being tariffed by the U.S. So they better establish better relations with the other big player in the world, which is the Chinese. He is in Vietnam today. He will be in Malaysia tomorrow, and in Cambodia. So he is doing a little trip out there. Also, relations between China, Japan, and South Korea. Japan and South Korea, two of America's strongest allies in Asia, have warmed recently when they were very cold up until now. Trump has managed to get the Chinese, the South Koreans, and the Japanese talking to each other in a kind of warm kind of way. So Trump is providing everybody with an incentive to shift to China because he is acting like a schoolhouse bully. Now, in the meantime, China is trying to hurt America where it counts. So, for example, there was a story, and it's hard to verify if this is actually the case, but it looks like this is the case, that China is halting all rare earth mineral exports, right? So China is not providing rare earth minerals, at least not to the United States. Now remember, you need rare earth minerals for everything: defense, medical equipment, cars, phones, industrial tools, everything. And while China only mines about 60% of the rare earth metals in the world, it refines 95% of them. It would take the United States 5 to 10 years if environmental regulations were reduced to be able to open up a refinery that refines rare earth metals. Now, as of now, American companies have an inventory. They've stockpiled the minerals that they need for a quarter or two. But if this continues, this could be more pressure on financial markets to do their thing, to penalize us all. By Greenland, you get zero rare earth capacity, refining capacity. There are plenty of rare earth materials in Montana and Wyoming, but we don't have the refining capacity to do anything with them, and the environmentalists won't let us mine them. Greenland is going to have the same environmental concerns, but even if you could mine them, where are you going to refine them? You have to send them to China to refine them. We could get more rare earth materials from Ukraine, but there's very little refining capacity anywhere in the world. Again, let me just repeat it, since it seems 95% of all the refining capability is in China. Now, you could probably increase a little bit the capabilities existing, but it takes a long time, huge capital investments, and a long time. In the meantime, American firms and American defense firms run out of it within 3 to 6 to 9 months. So it doesn't help you to get the raw earth materials if you can't refine them. Anyway, that's just one other aspect to the whole trade fiasco that those responsible for trade in the United States are not thinking through.